I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
We're back with another episode of Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis Ellis. This is Giulio Gallerati. Ooh, Jesus.
Oh, good.
Giulio Gallerati sitting right next to me.
What's up?
Beaming.
Beaming.
Glowing from the success of an incredible weekend. Selling out live comedy shows. My God, young man, you've done it. Tell us about your victory.
I mean, it was a good weekend, dude. You know, good shows. Panama City Beach, loved it. I will definitely be back. You know, dude, it was great.
You came in like a young Kenny Powers. Season 2, Eastbound and Down.
Throwing high heat.
Isn't that where he went?
I don't know, actually. Is that where he went?
Panama City, I think. Yeah. That's where that's like Floribama, that coat, you know.
Yeah.
That area.
Yes.
And, man.
I don't remember that.
Well, I think that's where they did season 2 of Eastbound and Down. But you came in to Harpoon Harry's and Seawall Sally's and
Longboards was the other spot. They were both great. Good crowds, good mix. Thanks to all the Oops people who came and said hi. That was awesome. And I had some like friends down there, dude. I had like an eclectic group of like, it wasn't exactly a crew, but I like was able to say hi to everybody. A girl that I went to elementary school with, who I've known since maybe 2nd or 3rd grade.
wow.
She was there. Another guy that I know who is he's a master diver in the Navy.
Ooh.
He took me to the Navy. We got a tour of the Navy diving school. Super sick. That, you know, I didn't even know he was down there.
That's cool.
And this is funny. So I remember at one point, do you remember in your high school, was there a guy who like dated outside of the high school? So like,
Yeah, that was me.
was it?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, Francis has this new girlfriend. You'd be like, who is she? And they'd be like, oh, she went to like Westbrook or whatever.
That's exactly right. And how'd you come up with Westbrook?
That's a neighboring town to our town.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
We had a neighboring town named
Really?
Westbrook. Westbrook, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
We had a Westbrook.
Westbrook, dude.
Never dated any girls from there though. They were a little too tough for us.
Well, so his girl wasn't actually from Westbrook, but dude, you know, he comes to the show, whatever, we hang out after the show, great. Then afterward, come to find out he's still with the same girl. They're married.
Damn.
They just had their first kid.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Did you bring up the fact, what does that tell you? What does that make you think when you run into somebody that you knew in high school that was dating somebody and is now married with a kid to that person?
It really depends.
Someone like you who has been to every corner of the globe.
So this guy too,
And this guy
has
has
been to every corner of the globe.
He just went to Westbrook.
He's actually been to more places than I have. I mean, he's in the fucking Navy.
I forgot
He
that
said
he was in
roughly.
the Navy.
He said roughly 40 countries, which is more than I've been to.
You know that people in the military do have a penchant for marrying young. It's very prevalent.
Yes, no, I do for sure. But this is the thing that is unique about it. If we're playing that game, so it's like, you know, obviously case by case situation. They just had their first kid. The kid is an infant.
Well,
So they've been married, you know, 18 years or something, and they just had their first kid.
Smokes.
Yeah. So like, it's not like
It's insane. What an
I know.
insane
I know.
fact.
I know
Married 18 years and had not 18. Can't be 18.
they got married. So he graduated high school, went down to Panama City. They got married when he was like 19. And it's funny, dude, it all came back to me. He goes, you remember my wife, right? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we were dating. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, I do remember that. You just showed up one day with this girlfriend from like another place.
Your wife is that chick from that other school?
Yeah, from Canton. She was from Canton.
Is she still 17?
Right? No, it's crazy. It's
I
crazy.
wouldn't be able to get out of the mindset of how I knew her then.
I never really knew her then. I had met her. I remembered her. I don't know that she remembered me. But like, obviously he like gave her the story when he's like, I'm going to see a comedy show. My friend from high school. She knew what the deal was. But anyway, that was funny. Chopped it up, dude. It's funny to like bump into your high school people and like, you know, see who talks to who. And like my other friend said she was in touch with this other guy who like was excited that she was coming to my show. Like, it's all fun, cool stuff to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were all great, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Unreal, dude. That's
I know.
what I wouldn't, for a guy that went to school in Connecticut, you wouldn't think you'd have this big high school reunion down in Panama City, Florida.
So the guy lives there. She drove from Atlanta, which we did too. Which I'll explain a little bit about that later.
How long is that drive?
Long. Well, when you go with me, you know it's long, dude. I'm just saying, because everybody involved. I brought the guy who booked the gig for me, and then I brought somebody open, both named Zach. And Zach, I told him, I was like, guys, this is how I want to do this. Are you down? And they're like, yeah, for sure. And then you could tell on the second leg of the long drive, they were both kind of like, oh man, what have we agreed to? And I'm just all excited driving. I'm like, how you boys doing? You know what I mean? And then, dude, Hill's friends were down there.
Giulio is,
What?
you're like a walking scenic route. Just the world's longest way there.
Giulio, the scenic route, Colorado.
Yeah,
dude.
that's right. We're taking the scenic road. We're going back roads, everybody. Well, there's a highway, but
That's good.
We won't get to eat at the Shrimp Basket,
We won't
which
be
is
doing that.
famed for murdering more chefs than any restaurant in America.
Dude, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, so listen to this. So Hillary's friends are down there. My friends now too. And her one friend has a house in this area called 30A, which is this road along the beach. It's 30 minutes west of Panama City, I believe, Panama City Beach, and pristine beaches. They filmed the Truman Show there.
Oh,
Very nice, but more of it's odd in that, not odd. I just never seen anything like it. The architecture feels more southern than it does Floridian. So you go to a country club in Palm Beach or wherever, you know what that's going to look like. This looked like it was a new development, but with southern kind of architecture, which was cool. Went to their beach club, amazing, sick house, had a great time, right? And it's a lot of people from the South, or Midwest, or Oklahoma, whatever. That's where this girl's from. So, dude, we go and I stay at her house one night, and I get a text this morning that I panicked a little about. This is what she texted me, and it wasn't a big deal, but initially I was like, oh fuck. She goes, hey. Hey, it's no big deal, but that's not the text.
It's always a big deal.
She goes, no big deal at all if you don't remember, but do you have any? Okay, this is what, I'll read the text and I'll tell you about.
Well, finish.
No
yeah.
big deal at all if you don't remember, but do you have any idea if either of you slept in the master bedroom right at the top of the stairs?
Oh, shit.
And then she goes, my parents just last minute decided to go telling housekeeping which beds to wash. But that's a panic. So let me tell you what happened. We're all in the jacuzzi. It's late night. It's 4:00 in the morning. And I'm like, all right, we're all decide we're going to go to bed. She goes, take any room on the second floor. I go, great. Walk up on the second floor. First room. I open it. I'm like, oh man, this is a pretty sick room.
Oh,
I definitely stayed in the master bed. I must. Dude, I didn't know any room on the second floor.
dude, of course. Of course. I mean, that is her fault.
The house
No
is sick.
disrespect to her.
The house is so sick that I was like, oh, this must be just a normal bedroom here. Wow, unbelievable. Let's make ourselves at home here.
Let me ask you this. How close on your heels were the other people who were seeking beds?
There's one other person, and he was behind me.
And he was right behind you? Okay.
there
So
were
you had to make a game time decision. You didn't have time to see all the rooms.
I did not survey.
You couldn't pick.
I could have, but I didn't.
Because if it had just been you, though, I think the right move is, knowing that it's her parents' house.
Yeah.
The right move is probably see all the rooms and choose the second best one. Because
Totally.
you wouldn't have wanted to sleep in the bed that her parents sleep in.
Of course not. So here's my school.
You're not one of those people.
Dude, here's my train of thought on this.
Sniffing the pillowcases
Absolutely
like a
not.
friggin' weirdo.
No shot.
No.
And that's not me, dude.
Looking for stray hairs from her mom's head.
So, dude,
flossing with them.
so
It's not you.
it's not me, dude.
No.
I assumed.
Even in Panama City Beach, that's not you.
It's not me, period.
That's them.
I assumed, no, it's no one. I assumed that she would not include the master bedroom on the selection of the rooms that were available to
Who
me.
would?
She goes, any room on the second floor.
Yeah.
Which makes me believe her room and the master bedroom must be on the first floor. Therefore, the second floor. And I remember thinking, wow, this room's sick. And then I was like, maybe this is like, I know her brother, I think, has a kid. I'm like, maybe this is where the brother stays and he has all of his stuff in here already.
Yeah.
And this is a sick room.
Also, it's 4 a.m. You've probably had at least a couple of lime shard tequilas.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You
Big
know,
time. Big time.
you're glowing from the success of these sold out shows, and you're not thinking. You know, it's tough to make that call. I get where your head was at,
Dude, I was not like, let me find the shittiest bed. Let me find like the modest room. In the morning, I went to find one of the Zachs. The other Zach was nowhere to be found. He had himself a night. He sort of stayed in Panama City Beach.
Oh,
Yeah. But Zach number 2, I went and found him because I thought he had the car keys, and he was just in a much smaller room. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was just like, oh, he just happened to get a shittier room than me. Like, whatever. It sucks for him.
Wait, how many bedrooms were there upstairs?
Dude, the house has sleep 16.
What the hell? What is it, a Airbnb investment property?
No, it's just a big ass fucking house, dude. That they, you know.
So how many bedrooms were there upstairs?
So there's 3 floors with bedrooms. Apparently, the first floor has bedrooms. The second floor has bedrooms.
And
then
she
the third
said
floor has bedrooms.
take any bedroom on the second floor. So again, do you happen to know, were there 3? Were there 2? Were there 4?
I believe there were 3 bedrooms on the second floor.
All right. This isn't your fault at all.
And you know what? I don't think that she's saying it was. So her parents, I guess, are going down last minute, and she wasn't expecting that, and she wants to tell the maids which rooms to clean. And she was like, oh, like, did anybody sleep in Actually, I don't know. Maybe not. Like, would you have to ask about the master bedroom?
Yeah, look, I think here's the deal, right? This house has too many bedrooms.
This house has a lot of bedrooms.
Okay? It gets confusing. If it's your traditional American house with, let's say, 3 or 4 bedrooms, right? For a family of 4 or 5, 2 parents, 3 kids, 4, whatever, 2 to 3 kids. You are going to do your best to decipher which rooms belong to which people. And you're going to do a little poking. The giveaway, I would say, should have been the bathroom.
Dude, this house,
because the master bathroom is typically definable.
So it was a big, nice bathroom. But again, like, it could have easily been the second or third best bedroom in this house.
But you would never have known because there's 100.
Correct. And I didn't see any of the other rooms. And I just assume she's staying in the master.
Right.
Why would she not be staying in the master? Maybe she just was staying in her room. I don't know, but can I tell you what I said and tell me how I did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I said, hi, I stayed in the one right at the top of the stairs to the left. If that was the master, I had no idea. I'm sorry. Obviously wouldn't have just chosen the master bedroom, but I left it in very good condition.
Yeah.
How's that?
Fine.
You think so?
Did you make the bed?
Yes.
You did.
Dude, I left it spotless.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing where, I never know if you're supposed to make the bed.
Agreed, but I did make the bed.
Because you want it ruffled so that the cleaning team knows that was a bed that was slept in.
Fine, but like, I still think that you want to show that, like, you respect. Dude, I folded I folded the towel that I used.
You made it seem as if no one had slept there.
Like, the bed maybe wasn't pulled completely perfectly, but everything was rearranged the way that it had been originally. I didn't make much of a mess to begin with, and I think no damage done. Obviously, I wouldn't have picked the master. She goes, no, it's not a big deal at all. I promise. I'm just telling them which beds to wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. I literally just went into the first room I saw.
Okay. I think you're fine. Are you worried that her parents were annoyed?
No, I'm worried that I'm worried that it comes off as like a rude move on my part.
I think you go into that master bathroom, right? This is the defining moment. You look in there and you see a whirlpool tub.
There wasn't even a tub in there, I don't think.
No tub?
I don't.
In a house that has sleep
been.
16, the master bedroom didn't have a tub?
So maybe I didn't sleep in the master bedroom.
What are these people? What are they building a home for,
Did I sleep in the fucking master
I don't
bedroom?
even know what to describe. Like who builds a home that sleeps 16 and doesn't put a tub in their own master bedroom?
That's a good question. So maybe I
Did
wasn't.
they
even-
think they were going to have a ton of children?
I don't know. Maybe they thought their kids were gonna have. A
I
bunch
think
of
we need to
children?
talk to the parents.
We got to figure this out, dude, because this is gonna. But dude, I was a
How
very.
big was the shower in the master bedroom?
It was big.
Did it have a seat?
I don't remember, but
Was there a way to sit down in the shower?
I just remember looking around and being like, "Damn, there's some fucking good products in the shower," and then being like, I was intending to use the sauna later at the hotel, and then I was like, I'm not gonna ruin this freshness that I have going on.
Oh, yeah.
Really like there's foam body wash in the shower. I've never even heard of that. You know about that?
No,
Foam body wash.
I didn't know about that.
It's like fucking Barbasol for the body, dude, and no shaving involved.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I lather myself up. Ooh, yeah. That's
was
good.
the spigot for the shower overhead, or did it come out of the wall? Did you have a big pizza-sized
I don't remember.
rainfall shower?
I don't remember. I'm sorry that I don't remember shit, dude. I should have.
It's 4 in
I
the
just
morning.
didn't think this mattered.
Lime shards got to you.
Well, I'm sure it's got to me. I would never do that. And I will say this: I think I was a good guest. Granted, they came to the show, they had a great time, whatever. But like, didn't show up to their house empty-handed. I like made sure to insist that even though they had an account in the community, I still picked all. We paid for everything, like lunches, dinners, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I wanted so badly to to show that I was grateful, but B, these are like Hillary's friends. And granted, her boyfriend is new too, so you could say that we're friends. And like, but we know them through Hillary, and I can't go somewhere without Hillary and not make the finest possible impression.
That's true.
You
That's
know?
true.
So I went out of my way to try to be in the 100th percentile, and it appears that perhaps I've fallen slightly short.
No, you're being too hard on yourself. I think it's an honest mistake. You know, I think it's a lesson for everyone out there. If you are offered sort of dealer's choice of bedrooms in a home, it does tend to serve you well to do a quick survey if you have time, and you don't always have time, because if there had been a herd of folks on your heels up those stairs, you don't want to get shafted with a bunk room that you're having to split with another one of those dripping jacuzzi buddies. So
True.
you are taking the first best looking thing.
Now, there was only two of us in this situation, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I don't know that applies for me, but yes, fair.
This is interesting. This is a tough one. I don't know what to tell you.
So, dude, I have PTSD too. I'll tell you why. Brent and I did a road trip. One day, he was moving from New York to Michigan, and we did a Southern swing road trip with all his shit in a rental truck. So we ended up in Nashville. This is like 2009 or 2010, and Hillary would argue, I've been back to Nashville since, but she used to argue that I had never been to Nashville because of how different Nashville had become, even though I indeed had been there. It was ridiculous. Anyway, we get down there. Our friend Sally is letting us stay in her apartment. She goes, oh yeah, like enjoy, like use my bed. Like, I don't care. Like, so what do? I immediately fucking hop in her bed, and Brent comes in. He's like, Julie, are you serious? You're just gonna, he's like, she's showing us this hospitality. You're just gonna take her bed like that? And we start fighting. He ends up fucking smoking me in the jaw.
What?
Brent fucking socked me in the jaw.
Are you serious?
I swear.
Brent
in Tennessee. Now that the dust has settled and the jaw has healed, I think he was definitely right. I shouldn't have been sleeping in her bed, even though she's like sleeping in my bed. There's certain things that you learn as you grow older. If people say, do this, you're supposed to insist that you do not. That to me is maybe one of those things.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with
But
that.
stay as long as you want. That does not mean stay as long as you want. What if I want to stay forever?
No,
You
but
know?
then I also think that there are a lot of people that live on the opposite side of this coin, which is to say being overly cautious and worried about the feelings of others, and then they miss out on a lot that life has to offer, you know? And I
What do you
mean,
What do you mean?
okay, so people are very crippled by this fear of overstaying or overstepping or over asking. And, you know, this is something that I've experienced. I think in my life, I have probably erred on the side of of being over asking and overstepping, and asking for things or making introductions or
But with work or like just in your social life?
everything, just trying to make connections or assuming or just cracking open doors that should not have been opened. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
It work in your favor.
This is my point.
Yeah.
Here's an example. When I was applying to law school, I was desperate for some way to improve my chances of getting into a good school. And I was tutoring all that time, and the mother or the stepmother of one of the kids I was tutoring mentioned that one of her closest friends was a professor at the at NYU Law School.
Got it.
And said that to me, and somehow, but without offering to like put us in contact. And I was so desperate at that time to try to help myself and figure it out that I looked her up on the faculty website, saw her email, and then wrote her a cold email being like, "Hi, I'm so and so. I'm a prospective candidate. I know your friend."
Without asking them?
Yeah. And I said, "Look, I'm just anything you can tell me about the process, or not like could you write a letter for me, but I think just, yada yada." And the woman responded, she didn't know who the hell I was.
Mhm.
And she certainly couldn't. I think she could tell from just the tone of the email that it's like I wasn't super close with the stepmom either.
Mm.
And so she kind of gave a cursory email reply. And then somehow I learned later, after I had stopped working with this family, that the stepmom had told a friend we knew, like another parent, that I had overstepped by doing that.
Dude, how much I would still suffer from that story if I were you is crazy. And that's my problem. And I'm not suggesting you
No,
should.
but look,
Does it bother you to tell that?
it doesn't. And here's why. In my life, I have erred on that side more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And the friendships and benefits, and it's not always self-serving, by the way. Sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, I want to introduce you to this person,"
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I shouldn't have done that, right? For the sake of that person,
Yes,
whether it was a friend, whatever.
Right.
The benefits and the doors and the connections and all the positivity, the utility that has blossomed as a result of my, call it, over-aggression far outweighs the bridges burned as a result of overstepping.
For sure.
And I truly believe that.
Absolutely.
I would much rather be told no, or told in hindsight that was too far, than not know at all.
And that I have to work on that, because the stories that I have like that, I have like PTSD from.
Yeah, and let's like the last piece is, dude, someone who is mad and says like, "I never want to talk to this guy again because he asked me if I would recommend or introduce him to people at whatever it is." Like, I don't even know, right? Is that somebody, if you're so easily just, I don't know, turned off completely or willing to like discard someone because they were trying to improve their life or like ask you for a favor, I don't think that that's necessarily someone that I was going to have a long future with anyway.
So this is what I would say to your situation. That what you did was a young man's mistake. You wouldn't do that now.
No, I have a better sense. You're right. I have a better sense of the boundaries now.
I would have done that too and not known. Like, I didn't know. Like, I would ask for things, and especially, dude, these like city people, they're just like kind of fucking assholes, dude.
Yeah.
Like they don't give you the benefit of the doubt. It's weird. It's almost like they themselves never became adults.
That's it. And or they were never given help by people ahead of them. And I say this because I truly do enjoy, if I can, trying to help people who are younger or below me, or do what I can to
Yeah.
like give them a line, right?
Same,
Because
same.
a lot of people did do that for me.
Same.
And I do think that favors granted often result in the recipient being more open to giving out help themselves.
Right.
You're just creating a pattern and a willingness to
a good pattern.
to lift, rising tide raises all boats, all that shit. So,
Yeah. So, dude, yeah, like there's something annoying about that too. It's like, here's this woman who's like wants to boast about how she's connected at this place, doesn't offer to help you. You reach out, you're a fucking kid, you don't know any better, and she's like, "Oh, he overstepped." Like, shut the fuck up, lady. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and I also, the way that the person I know relayed the
Yeah,
message to me.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting. It was the dad of my dear friend, our dear friend Luke Marcus, the Marcus family.
Okay.
And so he was I was very close with the whole family, including the dad. And he was the one who had introduced me to the family.
Got it.
And so like, he was like, yeah, she did say that. And the way he relayed it to me was as though he could tell that she had some glee
Mhm.
in saying like,
Yeah, of course,
he didn't, she turned her nose up at it.
Dude, the city fucking, like that whole bubble is just like high school
Yeah.
for old
It
people.
didn't hurt her
It's crazy.
relationship to the professor at all.
Of course not. Yeah.
It wasn't, you know what I mean? It just was something that all of a sudden was like, oh, I've got status and something he wanted. He abused it. And now I'm glad it didn't work out.
I have the opportunity to prove that I indeed am above others.
Quick aside, you mentioned your buddy, the Navy diver.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm so curious about what that entails.
I'm going to tell you, and it's going to blow your fucking
Is he
mind.
scuba diving and scuttling ships by attaching sticky mines underwater to them?
Like, yeah. So I don't even know what that means. What do you mean? Mike?
Scuttling is like when you render a ship incapable of traveling.
So it's the opposite. Like they will go down and they will weld a ship underwater.
Oh,
Dude, they do the craziest fucking shit.
that's nuts.
Dude, it's nuts. And he's a master. And there's only like a few hundred of it. Like there's a list of all of them that have ever been on one board.
Oh my
So
God.
it's like super impressive.
That's crazy.
And-
I wonder how long he can hold his breath for at the Soho House pool.
So dude, it's probably pretty long.
Way longer than me.
He
That's
showed
for sure.
me the sort of history of the way. So there's that like Cuba Gooding Jr. movie, if you remember that, Men of Honor.
I didn't see it, but I remember the previews.
There's the famous sort of like diving suit. And I made that reference. I was like, that's probably a pretty annoying reference, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's fine. But anyway, dude, so they have these, they show me all the decompression chambers and stuff. We're talking about like the bends and shit. So apparently there are these suits that you can go all the way down, like so far down in and stay for a while. And it's like an exoskeleton. Like you look like the Michelin Man. So you're
Wow.
like functioning in a different atmosphere within this suit. So anyway, dude, these guys do like all sorts of crazy sort of shit down there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
That is really cool. To bring it home,
yeah.
our boy Luke Marcus, our dear friend, got his first choice. He got jets. Got selected for
No
jets
way.
at
Wait,
the end
so
of his
we
flight
need more
school.
background for this though. He was in flight school, right?
Yeah, he was in flight school, and you do this for a long time. You train, you fly. They're whatever normal planes, single engine prop planes, all that stuff. And at the end of it, you put down your preferences of what you want to fly.
Sick.
And I think everybody wants to fly jets.
Right.
Top Gun.
Any
shit.
person flying in that capacity wants to do jets.
Yeah, and then the other options are helicopters, which I actually thought would be even cooler.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it's because I ski. And I thought maybe he could give me a ride, instead of paying the exorbitant powder skiing, heli skiing fees. But then there's C-130s, and then there's like, I think, transport planes.
Yeah. And all those like
Um,
wacky, like the one that does this. There's one that it's called the Osprey.
Yep.
The,
Yep.
the engines start up and they go, I don't know, whatever.
It's almost like half
Sick.
helicopter, half plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got his first choice, jets.
Sick. Congratulations.
And I think it's a very small percentage of people who get jets because it's the hardest one. I think you got to be top of your class kind of. deal,
Right.
and he did it. So, dude, this
Congratulations,
kid
Luke.
is. I mean, I have known him since he was in 8th grade, where I would have to absolutely berate him to put down the FIFA controller and do his friggin' math homework. And he has just connected one dot after another. And his dream from that age was to become a NASA pilot,
Really?
a NASA astronaut.
He's literally on the trajectory.
And he knew the path, he knew the steps. And I mean, I remember just so many years I was like, God, there's just no way. Not that I wasn't rooting against him. I just couldn't imagine how he could, get there from where he
Right.
was. And he has checked off one box after another: Naval Academy, Marine Corps pilot, flight school, jets. I
Crazy.
mean, at this point, if he's not the president of the United States, I'll be like, what happened? You know what I mean? That is how fucking
Impressive.
automatic he is. So big shout out, Luke Marcus, big fan. You'll see him at the wedding. He's officiating our wedding. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
very excited for that.
Dude, he wanting to be a NASA pilot is like a thing that the percentage of kids that realize they don't actually want to do that
Yeah.
is just like so dominantly high.
Right.
This is one of those things. I want to be a pilot, and then like you get older, you're like, oh, like what does that actually mean?
Right.
Can I even physically handle it? Probably
Right.
not.
Right.
Be up in fucking space station eating petrified wood for 3 months, alone from fucking. I don't get to see my wife. You know what I mean? Like you have to
Yeah.
really to stick with that and like want to do it is like impressive.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
it is. It is definitely what
No joke.
anything. Somebody who has a dream that early and is not shaken from it, really ever is mind-boggling. That level of kind of focus and consistency and pursuit of one path. So, cool, very cool.
Well, dude, so I want to go back to traumatizing overstepping stories.
Yeah,
There are
good.
3 of them that stand out in my mind where I just didn't know any better, and I suffer from them to this day.
Oh boy,
And I want to share all of them with you.
good. Please.
So first of all, I think I've talked about this on the pod before, and I've realized that maybe I shouldn't be saying this guy's name for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't want to like suffer his wrath. Big, powerful guy, worked for NBC, was like, he's been like the head of major, you know who he is, if I were to say it. So anyway, like I helped him out because he was playing the father-son tournament, and the rules of the father-son's tournament were stupid. He was right.
Tennis, really quick.
He was
yeah.
like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
He was like, there should be a winner. It's not fair that like my kid and I can get to the finals. And then he's taught that like, because we're like somehow, I don't know, that there shouldn't be a winner. We think that there should be, that we should be allowed to win at least.
Why was there no winner? What?
Because they were trying to make it kind of like that, like the like pussification of our children.
Yeah,
type of thing.
okay. Mhm.
Everybody gets a trophy culture.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, I was like, dude, you're 100% right. I got you. Boom. Set it up for them. He and his son end up winning. Kid's so happy. The wife comes up to me. She's like, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So I'm like, you know what? I need something now. I could use an internship. I email them. They just never respond. And it just like crushed me, dude. I felt like such a fucking loser.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
that's not even an overstep.
how do you know yeah, why do you think that's an overstep?
Because maybe you're right. Now, as I say it, I realize that maybe it wasn't. But like,
Well, this is a great exercise.
This is
What if
good.
we disprove all 3 of these
I don't think we're going to be able to do it.
haunting
I don't think we're going to be able to disprove all
hang-ups, these
3.
haunting hang-ups that you've had for years?
I don't think we're going to be able to disprove.
We're going to
all 3.
unearth these splinters of guilt.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay, so that's the first one.
Yep. 1 for 1. Okay.
Okay, 1 for 1. Second one, I was teaching at this place out, on Long Island, and the second summer that I went back, I didn't want to live in the pro house. I wanted to live at somebody's house because a friend of mine had done that, and he had done it with a specific guy whose house I'd been over. I'd met his dad, whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna see if this guy's dad will let me live there. And I wrote this like long letter about like
Handwritten?
no
Email.
email.
Sure.
I may have signed it, which I'm cringing about thinking about.
Well, that's kind of cool. That's presidential of you.
And I'll never forget the final sentence. It was like, my goal, dude, I'm getting so uncomfortable. Even telling you this. I was
Good.
like, my goal is not to be a burden to your household, but a sort of like, I forget the word I used, a plus.
A blessing. Yeah.
Something like that. I was like, I hope to contribute more than I burden you. Yours truly.
It's very sweet. Very
And then the guy was like,
fashioned.
no, like we're like fixing my basement, which was like clearly a lie. He just didn't want me to live there. And I just felt really embarrassed, and I still am embarrassed
Again,
about it.
I'm really not. I'm not minding this.
Okay.
I'm not minding this. Listen, if I'm a father with a house in the Hamptons, and the previous summer a young man spent the summer there, positive experience. One of his buddies is now trying to do the same thing. You know, and you knew him, right? Did you know the dad?
I knew the dad. But so this
Had you had good interactions with him?
I had. So this is actually what happened with the kid with the summer before though. Okay, so the friend of the kid was staying at the house. They let him throw his birthday party there. He had the birthday party great. Then we all went out, a group of us, and it was his friends and then like nephews and nieces of the dad whose house it was. And I guess what ended up happening is somehow in the shuffle as we all arrived at this nightclub, the like 2 or 3 nieces or nephews got left out and like no one ever went to get them and they just like didn't get into the club. And like I think that they may have even pointed and been like, are those people with you? And the guy may have been like, no.
Oh.
And then like got kicked out of the house like the week after because of that.
The guy did?
The guy who was being allowed to stay at the house.
Okay.
So maybe that wasn't positive and maybe he was like never again.
Yeah. I mean, but that's on him. That's not on you.
Agreed. Has nothing to do with me. Maybe it was bad timing. I don't know.
Well, okay. Again, it's not as though you sending a feeler email. I just don't think that there's that much harm. You've put the ball in his court, and any person who has confidence should not be too bothered to just say no.
Right.
And my working on the basement or the room's not available, whatever the fuck it is, it just, at that age as an adult, it gets easier and easier to say no to people.
Right.
You get better and better at coming up with reasons for why you
Good
can't
reasons.
help someone out.
Yeah, he wasn't a dick about it.
Okay, I'm
was
still
embarrassed.
I'm calm saying 0 for 2 on this one.
Okay, third one.
Really don't think you're in trouble yet.
Okay, I appreciate it. The last one, I gave these lessons to people in the city. These are all revolve around tennis, as you have gathered. And they're like, oh, we have a court at our rental this summer. Like, how much would it cost to teach us? And I was like, oh, sweet. And I like came up with some number that was apparently like not realistic.
Just too high?
Like way too high. Like I did it by person in my head. I'd never done this before. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to ask for. I could have asked people. I didn't. I quoted them some really high number and her reply to the email was, are you fucking kidding me?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me?
This is a woman that rented a house in the Hamptons for the summer that had a tennis court, and her response to you, the person she asked for private tennis lessons at the house, was, are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
That person's a joke.
You think that's bad?
100%.
I may have
Shame on her. To me, that's the worst one.
She thought that I was like price gouging. I had no experience doing this. I just didn't know.
Okay.
The number that I quoted was probably twice as much.
Unless you're saying
as the top of the market.
Dude, unless you're saying like $1,000 an hour.
It wasn't that. No. It was like I think.
Can you give us a ballpark? Because you're admitting it was too high.
Too high.
And you just hadn't thought of it, but can you give us the ballpark?
I think that she's like 4 or 5 of my friends, and in my head I just like did it. I was like, oh, like whatever, it'll be like $50 a person or something. And I was like, I don't know, like $250 or $300
per
for the hour for the group.
Okay.
Which is high.
No.
That's high, dude.
Giulio.
Maybe it doesn't deserve fuck you.
It's the Hamptons. It's a bunch of rich ladies wanting a private clinic at their house. There is no number that's too high.
Fine, but like there's a way, the logical thing to do there is to break it down by a unit price of like the hour as opposed to like charging by, it didn't make sense. Fine. I hear you.
No,
this is making me feel better.
From a business perspective, you quote the high number, and then a normal person in her shoes might be like, we were hoping to do more like this.
Oh, right. As opposed to.
And then you might maybe meet in the middle, or you agree to her price. That's just basic business. That is as a tutor.
Right.
As a tutor, similar thing, who would charge exorbitant rates that I could never believe charging. Every once in a while, like, I would have someone come back and be like, that's way beyond what we were thinking it would be. Or like, and you're like, well, There's plenty of fucking people that do pay this.
Right, right.
You know, you got the one weird lady who's like mad at the price structure of the Hamptons. Like, lady, go get a summer house in fucking Panama City Beach. What are you doing? What tennis? Maybe she's finding a tennis instructor for cheaper, but not that much cheaper.
Right.
It's going to be $150.
It'll be at least 100, or if not, yeah. 100,
So
150.
yeah, so you're talking about like a difference of $10 per person, $20 per person more. I mean, I am dumbfounded at the gall of her response.
Yeah, no, actually, now that this has been helpful. This has been a helpful exercise.
Because like, listen, dude, I get it. I would, for a long time, when I would tell people my rate, especially when I would raise my rate, because I started out, I was charging, $100 an hour. Even I thought was high in New York City, and no problem. Tons of kids, tons of referrals. Go to 150, no problem. Nobody bats an eye. You're like, okay, how about next person, next family, 225. Nobody bats an eye.
Crazy.
Then you go to 250. Nobody bats an eye. 300. And nobody bats an eye.
Crazy.
And then you're like, all right, I don't think I can charge more than this because I'll start pricing myself out of the types of students I actually want to work with. So I'm fine at this number, but I can be more selective of the people that I work with because my list is full.
Right.
But you're charging, lawyer rates.
How many people were you tutoring a day?
Well, you can only tutor like 3 a day, really.
Because it's what, 2 hours?
It's 5 to 8 p.m., 5 to 9.
Oh, right.
4 to 8. You have
Got it.
after
Yeah,
school, and you got to go. You can't, unless they're really close, you can't schedule them, on the hour.
Right.
You got to leave the place and go to another apartment.
Right.
But dude, nobody fucking batted an eye.
Crazy.
And it's not like all the families were making the same amount of money.
Right.
They're just, they're like, we live in New York. We accept that this is the rate.
This is how much it
and
costs.
if people had trouble, they were like, look, I don't know if we can afford it. I would work with them. And I would know when people were being honest and when people were trying to,
we're trying to be
fleece
cheap.
me.
Yeah.
And I had the luxury of not needing to like stoop
Totally.
a lot. But dude, that story baffles me. It's not like she's asking for medical help.
I know.
She's not asking for some thing that, some pharmacist. You're not Martin Shkreli, like
Totally.
withholding life-saving drugs and for a profit. It's private tennis lessons at her Hamptons rental. What, you could have said any number. And she could have been like, yeah, we're going to look somewhere else.
Right.
And then you come down.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding me, lady?
Right.
Am I wrong about this?
You're right, for sure. And I think, and I think maybe that the thing that was like, I was well-intentioned in all of these situations. And like, I think I feel self-conscious of like how just not knowing enough to like handle, and maybe even, or just like wishing I hadn't asked for things if I knew that I was going to end up like feeling humiliated.
So had you become close with this family? Did you know them already?
The ones who I asked for the internship?
No.
The ones who I asked to stay in their house?
No. The tennis.
I taught them one time in the city. One time. And I think that maybe they were like a lower, like the type
Where was the house they rented?
I don't know, somewhere in the Hamptons. And I know that like, I think I met them in like a group class. So like maybe they were like maybe slightly lower income, which there's no such thing as low income in teaching tennis, but they weren't a like, oh, we have an insane estate, money means nothing to us type of people.
It
doesn't matter.
It's shades of white.
Right.
It's shades of white. You're talking about such a rich and elite activity.
Mm.
We want a private tennis instructor of note to come to our rental in the Hamptons where we have a tennis court, which means it's an expensive rental property,
right,
for the summer to teach us private lessons so that we don't have to go to some fucking club.
Right.
Like, to me, it's like finding out that you're searching for a private jet pilot who gives you a quote and you're like,
Right.
who do you think you are? What are you fucking talking about? There's no ceiling for those rates.
And the thing that you said that resonated with me the most was that regardless of how much my rates were above how much it really costs, we found out it's still not enough to maybe warrant that vicious of a reply.
It's vicious. Did she really say fucking
I
kidding?
think, yeah,
In an email?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
yeah.
dude, this is the type of person though who like would be responding the same way if they were trying to hire a cleaning lady who
Right.
quoted them like $20 an hour.
Right.
You know, that is just a level of like tone deafness and entitlement. That's really what it is.
Yeah, it's not polite.
You're stomping on people who are beneath you, workers.
Yeah. And I to be honest, I found teaching tennis to be exhausting, and maybe you dealt with this pretty much the same exact type of dynamic in that, you're dealing with all these different people and you can't make everybody happy all the time. And that's just like difficult when you're providing a service because you want to. The idea that people are unhappy with the service in any capacity, the idea that could possibly happen is stressful. And when on the unlikely occasions where it did happen, it was very unpleasant.
I just can't get over this. I hate this woman. I hate this woman so much. Again, she sought you out.
I know.
You didn't go to them.
I gave them a good lesson.
She said, "What are your rates?" You responded, and I don't know, man. Fuck that lady.
Yeah, fuck that lady. All right. Well, this was nice. I appreciate it.
I'm going 0 for 3 for you on those.
Okay.
Not
I'll
one
take
of
it.
those things should you be carrying as a bag of bricks on your back
I appreciate
to
it.
this day.
You're right. Yeah, because like
mine is much worse. Me asking a law professor to like help me get into the school when I'd never met them before and did not have permission from someone who had just casually mentioned knowing them. That's way worse than any of those three. It is. It just objectively is. Like, that's my overstep. Like, you're just, you're not even at the line. I'm like dancing in enemy territory.
Yeah, maybe there's just something that like I'm curious about what it even is about it that it's bothering me because I see your point in all of the situations. Like I went into this not realizing what that would sound like when I said it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Look, I think the world needs, I think, a balance of people, on both sides because, if it were all people like me, then we'd be fucked. If everyone was just constantly overreaching and overstepping and over asking, like, everyone would hate each other and no one would do any favors.
Do you you think that you do that regularly? I
said, I think I have typically, more often than not, I'm on the wrong side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time it does have to do with professional stuff, whether it's asking someone to help make an introduction to help me get a job somewhere, or, I'd like to meet this person. A lot, I hate to say this, like, I've definitely overstepped asking people for favors, like getting me on golf courses that I wanted to play. I don't know. I hate to say it. I have a lot of confidence in what I bring to the table. So I feel like even if I put someone in a uncomfortable position and they don't want to, they don't feel like they can say no. It's like let's say I ask someone like, hey, I'd love to come play your golf course. Like, I'll bring you out to mine, whatever. And they're nervous or they feel weird. And so they say yes. I know that it's not going to take a lot of time for me to charm them and to realize, that's my belief.
So you think that once you guys are out there, they'll be like, oh, this was a good idea.
Yes. I think that I can change their initial misgivings and that, as soon as they see what I have to offer, that they're invariably going to walk away from it with a positive opinion.
Right.
And be like, you know what? I'm glad actually that guy pushed me to invite him
So,
to my
but
golf
who are
course.
these people? How are you like finding a person to ask to begin with?
You know, it could be something as tenuous as like a DM. It could be
Right.
it could be that I played around near them one time and we had a beer at the table afterwards.
Got it.
And I learned that they were members of this place, and so it's selfish. I get that it's selfish, but I think that you can mitigate the selfishness of asking for yourself by helping other people, by being more willing to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like if some young kid was like, I'm desperate to play your golf course, I'd be more willing to say yes to that person because I know that I have done that myself so many times.
Right.
And if I'm just a one-way asker, that's parasitic behavior, right?
And I know that you have brought people on the course that maybe like, maybe might not fit in.
Whatever.
You know
Yeah.
what I
I mean, like I won't even. It's not even. It's more like it's not so much that as it is like people I didn't know that well.
Interesting.
Where you're
Yeah.
like, what? How well do you need to know someone to ask them for a favor?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my threshold for that connection is much lower than yours.
Yeah.
You know what I
You're right,
mean?
You're right.
Like I would be willing to ask for help or a favor from someone that I knew way less well than in your situation.
So it's funny. This remind me of a dynamic that's something that happens to me a lot. I'm sure this has happened to you too. Over the years, some of your personal friends will tell you they have some kind of connection in show business, and they'll be like, "You should meet.
Yeah,
you should meet them."
Of course.
That I can't tell you how unpleasant following up on those has been for me.
It's also almost like 99% fail rate.
99% fail rate, and not only fail, but like one time this guy. He was like, dude, my dad would like love to like rep you. He's this big guy. Da 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 da. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, sure. Like, and the guy like called me, and then he's like, I'm not kidding. He must have talked my ear off for an hour and a half about how he was gonna like make me a star or some shit, dude, and whatever. And then just like, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is so exciting, right? Follow up. Like then just like radio. I just never heard from the guy ever again.
Yeah.
Or it'll be as bad as like,
I've had that happen.
Let me connect you. He says, shoot him an email. All of a sudden, why am I sending an email now?
Right.
Hey, and then just, I don't get a reply.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a shitty thing. But like to the same token, I don't want to close myself off from opportunities because I've gotten burned so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like this shouldn't make me not follow up on the next time that happens. But like it never ends up becoming anything. And it's been interesting for people who think that I'm just being cynical, see after I've told them that, how terribly each of those have gone subsequently to the point where now they are like, they're the ones who tell me not to email.
Uh-huh.
That will end up happening.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Being ghosted on a professional lead is
It's fucking weirdo.
absolutely, it puts your brain in a pinball machine. It's on par with being broken up with and not understanding the reasons why. It really
Totally.
is. I mean, because professionalism should lend itself to taking the emotional side out of it, right? Like if you're here's it, like, okay, I have a similar story. Very similar story. Like when I was applying to law school, I wanted a job that would lift my candidacy and look good on my law school application, resume. And so I was looking for a paralegal job, and I had through a family connection, I had I knew a young guy who worked at his dad's very big white collar law firm, and I think my sister put me in touch with this young guy that she knew, she was friends with, and I shot him an email, or she connected us via email. I shot him an email and was like, hey, I'm trying to go to law school. I'd love to be a paralegal for a year or two. Very common thing. Here's my resume, etc. And he came back with like a wonderfully encouraging email, that was like,
Yeah.
absolutely, you're perfect. I'm going to, I'll sort this out. I'll get to it. Yada. going to make it happen. Like, blah, blah, blah. You're great. We'll set up a call, whatever it is. So I'm thrilled because I'm 22 and I'm naive.
Yeah.
And I'm not aware yet that people can just be fucking psychopaths.
Right. People aren't reliable the way your parents were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That people can be psychopaths.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, great. And I think I had to like send him a cover letter or something like that. Get all these things in a row, polish up the resume, whatever, send it over. He gets back to me and he's like, this is great. I'll pass it along to the right people and you'll whatever, let's connect in a couple days. So like a week or two goes by, 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. Longer time, certainly than I would have thought. So I send out another email and I'm like, hey, just, checking in. No response. Over the next 6 to 8 months, I probably emailed him another 3 times at longer intervals between.
Right.
Another month would go by
right.
and then 2 months, nothing.
Following up.
And it's like, you start to wonder, like, did this person perish? Is he gone? What happened here? Did I imagine the initial exchange? Because all it would take is an email being like, listen, I'm swamped right now.
Totally.
I'm sorry. Or the position has been filled. And it's business. So there's no ill will there. I don't deserve really to be mad at him for that kind of an email. In fact, even at that age, I would have been grateful.
Yeah.
Because it stops your mind from spinning
From
constantly,
hope.
hoping and questioning, like, did he learn something about me? Like, what did I do? Did I word something incorrectly in the email? Was there something on my resume that stood out as like a blight that, without me knowing, disqualified me from this position? And getting ghosted.
It's crazy.
Getting ghosted via email over a professional situation is, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It should not happen.
Yeah, totally.
And yet it does.
I know. And there's something really arrogant and annoying about when people think they could help you, but they can't. There's something really annoying about it that really gets to me.
Yeah.
And especially and it's a little different with law school stuff because like, that's how that works. Like, that's the thing that I encounter sometimes is that people will try to apply the logic of networking in the traditional sense to what we do. And it doesn't always translate.
No.
But like, so that's crazy, obviously in a specific way. But sometimes people will be like, oh, I can help you. And they like think they can, but they like actually can't. And there's something so annoying about that, giving them that. Oh, I think that I can eat. And then somehow I'm the one who ends up getting rejected. It's so annoying.
Yeah, but we have to try.
I know.
Because even if 20 people are wrong, one person that's not full of shit, right. is the answer. And
just gotta hit one home run.
I have no problem with people making those promises as long as they try.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. If people are like, I think I can help you, I can introduce you. It's like, okay, if they follow through and it falls apart, whatever.
Not their fault.
You did your best. It doesn't always work out.
Totally.
And people may overestimate their own reach and influence. And I mean, I'm sure, I've overpromised and underdelivered many times, but like, as long as you fucking try.
Totally. And dude, so the one, that's a very, very good point. So depending on the person, it can be, if I already find the person annoying, there's something like really annoying about it when it doesn't work out. But like the thing with the guy, the first thing I was telling you about, talked to that guy for an hour and a half. He's like, send me an email of all the best stuff that you think you have and I'll look it over and we'll talk.
I've gotten that question so many fucking times.
Dude, I spent a lot of time making an extremely good email that was concise with hyperlinks that was like very specific to and like tiered and everything that I want at a point in my career where I knew what I wanted. I wasn't like, I'll do anything. I knew what I wanted to do. I send it and then like essentially get like, he's like, all right. He's like, we have a lot to talk about. Mm-hmm. Then just like started pushing our call and we never spoke again.
Yeah.
And like this guy's son, I think was like mortified by it. He's like, I'm sorry. My dad is like, He's like, Dad. You know what I mean?
You know, it's just it could be so many things. It could be that the next day he got another email from his best college buddy who was like, my son wants this, and that person has priority, you know?
Totally.
And isn't it funny? I'm hearing you say this. Isn't it funny that we still remember a singular email
Oh
that
my
we
God.
spent time putting together?
That's what this episode could be called. A singular email.
Yeah, one email that we like formatted correctly,
Totally.
chose our language, because the rest of the world does that on a daily basis.
I know.
That's just job hunting.
I know.
That's just job hunting. It's like what the world does, and we're like, I wrote an email back in 2013. Believe me, I remember too. And it's like I never got a response. Who do they think they are? It's like the amount of blind emails that everyone out there has sent and spent time formulating cover letters, resumes, all of that shit. And you know, it's just part of the game. You got to constantly apply yourself.
brutal, dude.
Yeah. No matter how many brick walls you run into. Wow. Fun.
Don't give up hope, guys. Keep swinging and missing.
Yeah, that's
We
it.
certainly will.
We're Oops the Podcast, guys. I'm at Gotham Comedy Club, headlining big weekend, New York City, April 8th and 9th. The whole crew's coming out. We hope you guys will be there. Go get tickets for that. FrancisEllis.com. And I've also got a bunch of dates coming up now. So go to FrancisEllis.com if you're curious as to whether I'm coming to a city near you. You'll see.
And you'll also see us in Boston if you got tickets to that the end of March. March 24th?
March 24th,
March
City
24th,
Winery.
two
Couple tickets,
shows.
I think, left for the late show. First show sold out very quickly. So get those, and we hope to see you, Boston.